What is that?
I am a monument to all your sins.
Relax. I'd rather not piss this thing off.
Demon.
This one is machine and nerve, and has its mind concluded. This one is but flesh and faith, and is the more deluded.
Kill me or release me, parasite. But do not waste my time with talk.
There is much talk, and I have listened through rock and metal and time. Now I shall talk, and you shall listen.
Greetings. I am 2401 Penitent Tangent. I am the monitor of Installation 05.
And I am the Prophet of Regret, Counselor Most High, Hierarch of the Covenant.
A reclaimer? Here? At last. We have much to do. This facility must be activated if we are to control this outbreak.
Stay where you are. Nothing can be done until my sermon is complete.
Not true. This installation has a successful utilization record of 1.2 trillion simulated and 1 actual. It is ready to fire on demand.
Of all the objects our lords left behind, there are none so worthless as these oracles. They know nothing of the great journey!
And you know nothing about containment. You have demonstrated complete disregard for even the most basic protocols.
This one's containment. And this one's great journey are the same. Your prophets have promised you freedom from a doomed existence, but you will find no salvation on this ring. Those who built this place knew what they wrought. Do not mistake their intent, or all will perish as they did before.
This thing is right. Halo is a weapon. Your prophets are making a big mistake.
Your ignorance already destroyed one of the sacred rings, demon. It shall not harm another.
If you will not hear the truth, then I will show it to you. There is still time to stop the key from turning, but first it must be found. You will search one likely spot, and you will search another. Fate had us meet as foes, but this ring will make us brothers.
We are, all of us, gravely concerned. The release of the parasite was unexpected, unfortunate, but there is no need to panic. In truth, this is a time to rejoice. A moment that all the Covenant should savor. For the sacred icon has been found. With it, our path is clear, our entry into the divine beyond guaranteed. The great journey is nigh, and nothing, not even the flood, can stop it.
Ooh.
Kill the demon!
Hello guys, welcome back. It's Prisma.
Brutes! The faster you can kill those brutes, the better.
Hello guys, welcome back. It's Prisma.
Brutes! The faster you can kill those brutes, the better.
Hello guys, welcome back. It's Prisma.
Brutes! The faster
Welcoming you
kill those
to
brutes, the better.
episode 10 of Let's Play Halo 2. Gravemind.
They don't have shield generators, but take them out before... It's berserking!
But in all seriousness, pretty crazy start there. So immediately after you defeat those 2 brutes, 4 grunts are going to come out the door. Oh god, there's so much to explain in this one opening council room. Okay. So, first of all, as you can see, this part, no offense to Bungie, but it feels like this part wasn't completely playtested on Legendary, because as soon as you spawn in, you can kind of just immediately die, and there's not really anything you can do about it. You kind of want to hold back and to the right on the bumper, and move back behind the pillar, grab the dual-wielding needlers, and super combine the 2 brutes. Once you kill the 2 brutes, 4 grunts will come out of the doors. Dual-wielding these new plasma rifles, these red plasma rifles, they are brute plasma rifles. They basically, they are the same as normal plasma rifles, but...
The demon has infiltrated the council chamber! Protect the hierarchs! Seal the exits!
Oh, I don't think so.
But they have a faster fire rate. But, in contrast, or as a drawback, they overheat faster. I actually like them more than the normal plasma rifle. They're really good at taking out the grunts in this part. So, the way that this opening council chamber works, it's very hard. I imagine what happened to a lot of people is they played through this game on Legendary, and they got through Cairo Station, they got through Sniper Alley on Outskirts, they made it past Metropolis, they made it past the boring elevator in Oracle and Regret, they made it past all sorts of things, but then they soft locked here. They could not get past this council chamber. On Legendary, there are 6 different waves of enemies. By the way, the 4 grunts that come out after you kill the 2 brutes, you can kind of think of them as Wave 1, Part 2, even though they seem like a different wave. So these Covenant that we're fighting are Wave 2 out of 6. It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty brutal. Now, brutes in Halo 2... no easy way to say this, they're extremely, incredibly tanky, and it doesn't help that they're resistant to small arms fire and plasma, so if you are shooting at them with those 2 things, you're going to be shooting at them all day. You need to find ways to kind of instantly kill them, like super combines, headshots, etc., etc. Part of what makes this fight so difficult is that for the first 2 waves, at least, you only have the needlers as like a good brute killer. And the needler is less than effective at long range. Biggest tip I can give after the first wave, you'll want to hop up here with your dual plasma rifles to take out the grunts and the dual needlers to take out the brutes. Once you take out one of the brutes, the other one will usually berserk, although not always. The important thing is that in the second wave, sometimes a brute with a carbine will spawn, but not always. Sometimes you can get unlucky and there will be no carbine, but in wave 3, there usually is a carbine. So you want to come down here and grab that carbine as quickly as possible. Now, suddenly, this part becomes a lot easier. The big secret to this room is you just want to use the upper platforms. It makes this part a million billion times more consistent. You can basically do this part without, dying a half a dozen times. I will say this a few times throughout this level, it doesn't feel entirely play-tested on Legendary. Now, the second big secret to this room is that the next wave only spawns once all the enemies are dead. So what you can do, like I just did, you can leave a single grunt alive and then go down and scavenge for ammo and supplies, and then when you're ready for the next wave, this is wave 3. Once again, it's 4 grunts, or 4 or so grunts accompanied by 2 brutes. The brutes will either have plasma rifles, brute plasma rifles. To be clear, brutes in Halo 2 only come armed with brute plasma rifles. Not the normal blue ones. Anyway, I've gotten kind of mixed up. What I mean is, they will either come armed with brute plasma rifles or carbines. But unlike Elites, like what Cortana was saying, brutes do not have energy shields, so if you have a headshot-capable weapon, like the carbine, very easy to pop them in the head. Although, only the very lowest ranked brutes, brute miners, have no head covering. They're the only ones that you can pop in the head immediately. The ones with the helmets, with the blue helmets, those are called brute majors, obviously. On legendary difficulty, those are a lot more common. It's basically like a 2 to 3 ratio. Like, if there's a squad of 3 brutes, 2 of them will be majors, and then 1 of them will be a minor, is usually how it goes. Although, even then, you do still encounter more brute miners than, say, elite miners. You know, you basically don't see elite miners at all in Halo 2 Legendary. Now, this section is kind of really slow and really boring, and I do apologize for that, but there's basically no other way to make this consistent that I've found. If you try and fight this legit, you just die.
Watch out for the captain. It's got a brute shot.
When you hear that, you know that Wave 4 has begun. This one is a little bit different. This one is the Legendary exclusive wave. You'll have some grunts, and I believe, 3 brutes, and one of them will be a brute captain, which is the highest rank of brute you will encounter frequently. And he has a brute shot, which is a new weapon introduced to Halo 2. And also this level. It's basically kind of like a mini fuel rod, I guess. They shoot these explosive shells. Even on Legendary, even getting hit directly by the shell won't one-shot you, but it will two-shot you, so be careful. The brute shot is less than effective in this part, although it's not... Well, it's less than effective on Legendary, usually, but there are some uses for it. I'll use it a little bit in this level later on. I was a lucky... Super Combine, usually they don't home in that good. What did I tell you? I said I would use the dual-wielding needlers eventually. Yeah, they're extremely useful in this part. Oh, partway through Wave 4, 2 brutes with carbines are going to spawn on the upper platforms. It is completely random how they spawn. Sometimes they will spawn on the side you're on, sometimes they'll spawn on the other side, sometimes one will spawn on the other side and one will spawn on the side you're on. I got the best case scenario. Sometimes you get unlucky and you get the worst case scenario where they both spawn right next to you. But you can kind of ISO them because they spawn on, you know, both sides of the platform, so you can super combine one and then super combine the other. But if they both spawn on the same platform you're on, you might die once or twice. Just trying to adjust. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Sometimes the brutes just don't berserk. If they're being annoying like this, you could throw a plasma grenade to flush them out of cover, but I figured I could just pop him in the head, but I was having a little bit of trouble with that. Oh yeah, okay, so the brutes, yeah. Yeah, one of them is clearly berserking, but the other one isn't. It's a little weird, it's not exactly consistent when they berserk, sometimes they just don't, for whatever reason. Now, to be clear, when a brute is berserking, basically what that means is they just go ape, literally. They charge around the room, they are completely stupid, but if they are aware of your presence, they will kind of zero in on you and melee you to death. Strangely, a brute melee attack is a 2-hit kill, even on Legendary, as opposed to elites, which do one-shot you. It's kind of a weird thing. I would have preferred if the elite melee was a 2 or even a 3-shot, but oh well. That will definitely be a struggle very late into this mission, how broken the elite melee is in Halo 2. But even the single-wielded needler is very effective on brutes, but yeah, this level and kind of the second part of Halo 2 in general is where the needler really starts to shine, because the brutes don't have energy shields, so it's a lot easier to super combine them. They're not as dodgy as elites. By the way, the brutes with the carbines are super dangerous. If you lose your shields, just don't even risk it. Just hide back into cover, because remember, when your shields are down, if they shoot you in the head with the carbine, it's instant death. And they're pretty good at doing that on Legendary. Now remember, whenever you need to go down below to scavenge, basically, whenever you kill a brute with a carbine, it's good to leave a single grunt alive. Oh yeah, that's a little collectible the MCC added. Although you saw in the last wave, I think the grunt, yeah, he face tanked a bunch of the needles all homed in on the grunt for some reason, so I had to deal with the berserking brute. By the way, if you are dealing with a berserking brute, you can just stand on the pillars around the room. He cannot touch you. They're completely incapable of touching you. So that's something to keep in mind. Although, you would prefer to leave a grunt alive. I will say, if you do leave a grunt alive, you want to make sure it's the one with the plasma pistol. You know, on Legendary, even a grunt with a needler can kill you pretty quickly. You wouldn't want to leave a needler one alive unless you absolutely have to.
Put it down on one of the pedestals near the door.
Alright, when she says that, yeah, this is me pausing in real life because my hands were shaking because I did that part deathless, so I was like, oh god, yeah. This was one of the parts of the mission I was dreading the most. There are three... This whole level is really hard, and it has an argument for being the hardest level in the game, definitely. It has 3 extremely hard sections. This is the first of them. When Cortana says that, you know you're done. But, you know, nothing wrong with scavenging. I like to grab dual-wielding needlers for the next room, I'll say, because as you can see by the video timer, we're nowhere close to done just yet.
That prophet, Truth, he has the index. You've got to take it from him. Let me get these doors. Go. It'll be easier to track Truth if I stay in the network.
Alright, so when you come through these doors, you're going to get ambushed by some grunts. Are you ready for them? Although obviously with a carbine, that's not really a tall order. And this room's a little tricky. On the other side of this platform are 2 brutes and some grunts that are entrenched on plasma turrets. And some awesome music. Awesome Marty music. Hooray. Yeah, it was a little hard to tell, but that was actually a super combine. That makes the other one Berserk. And Berserking brutes are very easy to super combine. Okay, now, this part's a little tricky. We get introduced to kind of a new... Well, we've seen these guys before. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. It's like the plasma grenade bounced right off his codpiece or something. That was weird. Okay, we've seen those enemies before, but, like, this is our first official introduction to them. These are, Brute Honor Guards. Unlike Elite Honor Guards, they are not talent swaps of a different enemy. Brute Honor Guards, for some strange reason, they're the only brute type that is completely immune to headshots. They are headshot immune. That means that, functionally, since brutes are so tanky, you need to find another way to take them out. Either through super combining or sticking them unless it bounces off their codpiece for no reason. That was a little stupid, but oh well. And then there's going to be 2 jackals and 2 brutes down below. Eventually, you want to take them out kind of fast, because eventually they'll get reinforced by a bunch of grunts that will try and set up plasma turrets. And eventually, those will be reinforced by 3 brutes, including a brute captain with a brute shot. Now, on lower difficulty, by the way, brutes are really good at throwing plasma grenades. They're almost as good as the Halo 1 Spec Ops elites, the black ones, if you remember those guys. Anyway, now, unfortunately, after doing all that hard stuff, I get a little complacent here. Because remember, there are 3 brutes, so I've taken out 2 of them. By the way, don't be afraid to spend your carbine ammo. Yeah, I get kind of jumped. This guy sneaks up on me on the right, and I get killed. Sad. First real death of the level. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I had 25 deaths in this level, although 3 of them were those like beginning deaths that you can't really do anything about, so it's more like 22. I felt that was good enough. I did get the par score. That might sound like cope, but how do I put this? I feel like this level wasn't entirely play-tested. Anyway, I do a better job of clearing out the brutes before they can get to me. On lower difficulties, this is actually the first encounter where you get the brute shot, so on Legendary you can actually get a brute shot a little bit earlier than you're supposed to. Not that it's extraordinarily helpful. It's always fun sneaking up on the grunts. I'm actually going to grab the brute shot for this next part. By the way, these like floating platforms, they can be destroyed and they can fall over, so watch out for that.
Truth is moving through the lower levels of the tower. I'll reverse this grav lift. Drop down, try to cut him off. It's safe, really. Just step in.
Alright, so you're going to want to pull out your brute shot. This is super consistent, by the way. Fire 3 grabs the brute shot because there's a jackal sniper. It spawns right there, but firing those 3 shots from the brute shot will always kill him every single time. That's super consistent. And then you're, well, I shouldn't say you're gonna, it's just how I play the game. But I will say you will want to take that brute shot because that jackal sniper kill is super duper consistent doing that. But you can grab the jackal sniper's beam rifle after doing that.
Reinforce all approaches to the holding pens. Slay the demon on sight.
We're beefing up their patrols. Stay sharp.
But like the lady says, a group of 3 jackals is going to come running down the hallway. But Halo 2 Jackal Infantry is nothing to worry about. Honestly, the Jackal Snipers aren't really a huge concern in this level. For anybody playing along, I can assure you that you are past the worst of the Jackal Snipers, at least. Once you're done with regret, Jackal Snipers... Oh, I swear to God, I got stuck there, but somehow I dodged that. You can see how fast the like, MLB pitchers, those brutes. Now, I do something a little stupid here, trying to be clever, because sometimes a jackal spawns here, but sometimes it doesn't, so I ended up kind of cornering myself for no reason, and then, to the surprise of nobody, I die, because getting cornered on Halo 2 Legendary is kind of a death sentence. Kind of dumb of me. Most of my deaths in this level are to being stupid, actually, as you'll find. If you are not stupid, you can get through this level with a lot fewer deaths, and indeed, I did a second playthrough of this level on Legendary to record bonus footage, and I only had about 12 or 13 deaths, so I significantly cut down the death amounts. This room's pretty standard, just some brutes. Remember that the helmeted ones with the shoulder pads, those are brute majors. The ones with the red flags on their shoulders are brute captains, and then the ones without helmets are brute miners. Just something to keep in mind there. You don't really encounter brute honor guards too often. They're kind of a rare enemy type.
Wait a minute. I'm reading marine IFF transponders.
I really wish you hadn't.
Originating somewhere below
Cortana.
your position.
After she says that, 2 jackals are gonna spawn from the doorway. You can kind of skip past them and sneak into the room there, but on the MCC where the tick rate's higher and the enemy awareness and aggression is raised, I don't really bother trying to stealth things in Halo 2 very much. Now, the beam rifle is super nice for brutes because for captains and majors, you probably notice it takes a few shots with the carbine to knock off their little helmet. But the sniper rifle, or the beam rifle, it knocks it off. It knocks their helmet off in one shot, just like that. It'll always knock it off. So that's a useful use for the beam rifle there. Plenty of carbine ammo in this level, so they really expected you to go wild with it, I think. You know, honestly, rapid firing the carbine is a good strategy a lot of the time. Watch out for the grenade. Yeah, so you can see that little flag on that guy. That means he's a blue captain, and I'm in the bleachers. No, but Usually brute captains will have a brute shot, but not always.
There's
Yeah, this is
another
kind of
vent
a...
in the next room.
This is kind of the calm Halo 2 AI moment there. This is kind of the calm before the storm, I'll say. Because the next super difficult section is coming up very soon. Although I say that, and I die here because I get jumped by Halo 2 Jackals. I somehow die to Halo 2 Jackals. Jackal Infantry. How embarrassing. But don't worry, I lock in on this next attempt and clear this really easy part. But yeah, that's a captain with a brute shot right there. I will say, actually, this might seem counterintuitive, but like when you're fighting a dude with a fuel rod, you want to take cover. But when you're fighting a brute shot, their projectiles are slow moving enough that you can actually dodge them pretty easily. The main threat of the brute shot, by the way, you're going to get very sick of hearing that going on. It's really the best way to handle a lot of these encounters is to just hug the entrance to the room. Anyway, brute shot. The brute shot's projectiles are very bouncy. They bounce off doors and walls and stuff. By the way, eventually, while you're clearing this room, some brute reinforcements will come out that right door, so make sure that you're ready for them. Sometimes you can pop the guy in the head real fast before you can enter the room. One less brute you have to deal with. Almost died there, but luckily I stuck him in the foot. I have a few clutch sticks in this level, actually. I'm actually going to get rid of my beam rifle soon, so I don't really care about using it like that. Yes, sadly not too... Well, that's not true. I was about to say there's not too many opportunities to get beam rifles in this level, but that's not true at all. I totally forgot about the part coming up. There's a lot of weapons and stuff around this room. It is a little unclear on our first playthrough where you're supposed to go, but you just got to go down there to the bottom pedestal. But beforehand, so I grab needlers here. In hindsight, you would want to grab a brute shot here, actually, and not the needlers. This works out for me, best case scenario, but we're going to be coming over to... By the way, that brute shot has significantly more ammo. It usually has, like... The first one we found had, like, 3 shots. This one has, like, 8 to 12 shots in it, so it's a lot. It's the first time you can really use the weapon.
Jump in.
Anyway, we're about to come to the next super difficult part of this mission, and this part definitely was not play-tested on Legendary. I gotta be real. That's just facts.
There are
okay.
2 groups of Marines in this detention block. I'll zero their locations. You neutralize the guards. Quietly.
So she says that, but best case scenario, you can get a stealth kill on this brute to the right, but then the left one immediately notices you, and then every single enemy in the prison fires at you. So you want to kind of jump down to the second level and take up a position down here. It's the most defensible position possible. Now, that is best case scenario. Sometimes when you come down the lift, the 2 brutes will be like pre-alerted to your presence, and they will turn around as soon as you land and just kill you. It's ridiculous. If that happens to you, you have 2 options. Number 1, you can... okay, so Halo 2 introduces a new feature where if you die 4 times within, I believe, 4 seconds... No, it's if you die 7 times in 4 seconds of each other, you will revert to the checkpoint before your previous checkpoint. It's a way to prevent soft locking. So that's one option you have, and like hope and roll the dice and hope you get better luck next time. But yeah, you want to take up a defensible position kind of on this middle level. It's the easiest place to defend, at least from your start point. You have to clear out all the enemies in the prison in this part. There are some brutes to where even if you manage to stealth kill, you actually can kind of stealth kill that second brute, but you have to be really fast. Watch out for plasma grenades, of course. Anyway, yeah, you could just roll the dice, but if you want a semi-consistent strategy, you would want to take the brute shot down the lift with you, because if the brutes are alerted to your presence, you can fire a bunch of brute shot grenades at them and melee them with the brute shot. Kind of a weird mechanic with the brute shot. The cool thing about it is, it has that massive blade on it. It actually gives you significantly increased melee damage on your melee attack. Enough to be on par with the energy sword, actually. It's actually quite good. It can 2 or 3 shot lower ranking brutes. So you would want to fire a bunch of brute shot grenades and melee the brutes as fast as possible, and then you can kind of jump off the edge or run to the left or right before the enemies shoot you up too much. Yeah, so I was a little confused why the trigger wasn't happening, and it's because this one brute is berserking up here, but this is the upside of getting to bring the Needler down here. Very easy to deal with berserking brutes.
Come to the middle level.
Okay.
The Marines are just inside. Careful of the guards.
So this prison part, one of the things that makes it so difficult is the enemy spawns are semi-randomized. Whenever, after the initial wave, after you clear out the prison initially, the wave that all the enemies come out of, or the doors around the prison that the reinforcements come out of are kind of randomized. It won't be the same on every playthrough, so unfortunately, I can't give you super consistent advice. You kind of just have to play well. And hope that not 2 enemies spawn, like, literally right next to you, which is something that happens to me later in this level. If that happens to you, you might just have to die a few times as you adjust to what your strategy is going to be. One strategy is, once you know where the enemies are, you can get to an upper level and kind of just snipe down on them. There are 3 crates of carbine ammo, so no problem, spamming the hell out of the carbine, killing all the enemies. Whatever's safest, But yeah, try and get to the upper level if you can. Makes it easier to snipe. Now, I'm actually going to use this brute shot for the rest of the prison. Excuse me. So in this first detention block, there's going to be a brute captain and 2 jackals. Brute shot is really good at dealing with jackals, actually. If a jackal is being an annoying POS, you can use the brute shot to kind of extricate him from the cover he's taking. But yeah, this detention block is pretty easy, and you're rewarded with 2 Marines to help you.
Listen up, Marines. The Chief's hunting a prophet, and you're gonna help him kill it. One more group of Marines to go, Chief.
Now, the weapons that the Marines pick up are fixed. Like, they'll always be spawned in on the ground for the Marines to grab. You can't really control what they grab at first, although you can give them better weapons. Well, you don't really have time in this first wave. Yeah, I get really unlucky here.
Come to the lower level. More guards, get ready.
Basically, the enemies spawn in the worst places possible. Well, some of the worst places possible. They spawn in the door right in front of me, they spawn right below me, and they spawn right above me. So I'm just constantly fighting enemies and I don't get a breather. If enemies spawn below you, one thing you really want to watch out for is the brutes will throw plasma grenades up at you, and that will kill you and your Marines super fast if you're not careful. So my advice, I would say just use plasma grenades, use brute shots, clear out the initial jackals as soon as possible. Watch out for the plasma grenades coming down from below. And you want to actually take a defensive position kind of around the lift, because the enemies will eventually charge the lift to try and get to the level you're on, and that's a way to get a lot of easy kills. And then eventually, once things calm down, you can snipe any enemies below you. Sadly, it's very hard to keep your Marines alive here, because they are incapable of dodging plasma grenades, I guess. But yeah, sadly, if the enemies spawn in bad places, you just, on Legendary, you kind of just die. until you can get your bearings and kind of, yeah, you know, kind of like what I did. You just get your bearings and realize where all the enemies are coming from and then deal with them accordingly, and it might take a death or two to figure all that out and build a mental map for yourself, but, you know, it's not a race, it's a marathon. As you can see by the video link, this is an extremely long level, even by Halo 1 standards. And you're pretty sure you've killed all the enemies, you can kind of move on, although Halo 2 AI moment there. Kind of wish I hadn't done that, but I would rather lose a box of ammo than approach a berserking brute. Now, I was scavenging around for ammo, so I cut that out because it was a little boring. There's carbine ammo literally right by the door, so it's not a problem. This second detention block is pretty easy. It's just a brute that you can backsmack with 4 grunts, although I find it easier to just stick the brute on Legendary. And then you can just headshot any grunts. This second detention block...
Marines, Chief. Good work.
This second detention block will have 3 Marines in it. I guess a small tip you can do to kind of help is one of these Marines will grab a plasma pistol, but the plasma pistol is basically worthless in the hands of allies because Halo 2 AI is kind of too stupid to use the overcharge, and the plasma pistol's tap fire has been significantly nerfed. So give that Marine literally anything else. It doesn't matter. Whatever you give him, it'll be better than the plasma pistol. So I give him a plasma rifle.
We'll get out of here the same way we came in, the central grav lift.
Yeah, like I said, it's very hard to keep your Marines alive here, but try and keep as many of the 5 Marines alive as you can, because you don't get any more for the rest of the level. These 5 Marines are all you got. And the more of them that you can keep alive through the level, the easier the level becomes.
Nice shot!
Luckily, this holdout is a little bit easier because you're on the very bottom level and not the middle. So if you know, in the middle level you get sandwiched. You can't really get sandwiched on the bottom level. Almost died there, but luckily clutch it out. Sadly, the Marines are kind of stupid and charge face first into a brute's fist. One of the many reasons it's difficult to keep them alive. Okay, very nice. And, you know, don't dodge the plasma grenade or anything. Okay. Alright. So, kind of an... You know what I mentioned about this part not being play-tested? Kind of an unavoidable glitch. You know, I like to show off all the encounters in a level. By the way, that's a showcase of how strong the brute shot melee is, because you remember it takes like 3 punches to kill a Jackal Major normally, but the brute shot melee can insta-kill them. Yeah, as you see by all those corpses on the lift, a weird glitch happens. So, when Cortana says reinforcements coming down the lift, if you are on the lower or middle level, they will all, most of them will just die from fall damage.
Lift is clear. Step on in.
Like the gravity lift will kill them from fall damage. It's very odd. You know, I like to try and show all the encounters, but you know, as you saw, it's very dangerous and kind of hard to push up on Legendary. So ironically, on Legendary, you end up skipping that encounter a lot because they all just die from the fall damage. Kind of weird.
Fear not, my brothers. The sacred icon is secure. It was Tartarus and his brutes who took the icon from the Flood. For that, they have our thanks.
Excellent. Truth is broadcasting on the move. It'll make him much easier to track.
Alright. So once again, I pause here, because, yeah, that was the hardest part of the level. One of the hardest parts of the level. Anyway.
Not as easy as you thought, huh, amigo?
Yeah, so... Yeah, it's been a while, but, once you come through, once you open that door, a squad of elites and a bunch of drones are going to come out that door, but luckily for you, the elites and the drones will be kind of fighting each other, so it's easy to pick, you know, kind of kill them. Sometimes an elite will fall down here, which is really annoying. You probably run past him. I was just worried about him killing my Marine, because I only have the 1 Marine left. Because the other ones did things like run directly into a brute's fist. I believe these are elite miners. These ones, at least. Most of the elites that you fight in this level are... Most of the blue-looking ones are elite spec ops, but these ones are miners, I think. Anyway. Yeah, be a little careful in this room because you get jumped by drones. But yeah, the drones and the elites were actually fighting each other because the Covenant Civil War has officially begun. You got some honor guards to deal with, but eventually some brutes will come out the door and start fighting each other. This is just like Halo 1, where you had those multi-faction battles with the Flood and the Covenant and the Sentinels. This time, it's the two halves of the Covenant. Now, this isn't always 100% true, but the way it kind of works is, on one side, you have elites, grunts, and hunters will be on one side. Oh, by the way, once you approach this door, a bunch of drones will come out. Brute Shot, really good at taking out large numbers of drones. The more Marines you can keep alive, the easier it is to deal with drones. Even keeping one alive makes drones enormously easier to deal with. Dead Hunter.
The elites have failed to protect the prophets, and in so doing put all our lives at risk. Let no warrior forget his oath. Thou and faith will keep us safe whilst we find the path.
This room's pretty easy, it's just...
just outside this tower, Chief. There's an exit nearby, hurry.
This room's pretty easy, it's just brutes and elites. The brutes and elites will kind of exhaust themselves, so it's very easy to pick off the survivors. Now, I'm gonna grab dual-wielding... Try and grab two brute plasma rifles if you can. I couldn't find a second one in a reasonable time frame, so I just grabbed a normal one. This kind of works as like a discount. You'll see why in a second. Yep. Hunters. Now, I try and do the trick here, but I kind of fuck it up a little bit. So I end up getting killed by the melee. How embarrassing. I'm always dying to the easy parts in this level. Very embarrassing. But yeah, Hunters, another really easy way to take out Halo 2 Hunters. You can, if you hit them just right, it's easier with dual-wielding brute plasma rifles because they have the faster fire rate, but you can kind of do a Timu version of it with the normal plasma rifle.
They ask for your allegiance, and you shall give it.
You wouldn't believe the number of kill systems the Covenant are throwing down around me. Not to worry, it's pretty sloppy stuff. I guess they never expected a hostile intelligence to penetrate their network from the inside.
Alright, now we come out to the first big open area. Yeah, there's a lot of Jackal snipers out here. There's 4 Jackal snipers to deal with. There's one over there. There's actually one at the platform I'm looking at. Yeah. There's a third one on the raised platform, but he died. Oh no, wait. Did he die? I don't remember. And then there's a 4th one over there. But, yeah, even if you know exactly where the Jackal snipers are, sometimes they just get you. Sad. Alright. But here's me doing a better job of clearing them out. Almost got domed by that guy, but I managed to back up just in time.
Okay, here they come!
Yeah, 4 Jackal snipers, and sometimes there's a bunch of elites and brutes fighting below. Sometimes the stragglers will come up here. This one, he got domed by the Jackal sniper to the left, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, the way the factions work, on one side, usually, you'll have elites, grunts, and hunters, actually. In fact, in this room, there's actually 2 hunters down below, but they die pretty quickly. There are some elite rangers out here. They can be a little dangerous, but usually they get killed. And, you know, you'll have a few stragglers that'll come up here that you'll have to deal with, but they're no big deal. Although...
Stand tall, man.
I almost stupidly kind of blunder right into one hiding in the corner over here, yeah. That guy might have killed me if I didn't see him at the last second, but oh well. Anyway, and then on the other side you will have brutes, jackals, and drones, is the way that the factions work. So elites, hunters, and grunts on one side, jackals, drones, and brutes on the other side, and you can kind of use that to weigh certain fights to your advantage. Like if you see a group of drones, you'll know they're going to be on the brute side. If you see the hunters, you'll know the hunters are fighting for the elites. Just as an example. Anyway, there's a crate of beam rifles over there. See, I like to give a beam rifle to the Marine. Now, no matter who wins the little civil war out here, a brute with a brute shot is always going to jump you right at the exit, so watch out for that. I guess he was hiding. I guess he was waiting.
The Covenant just destroyed 2 of their own ships, and I'm hearing reports of small arms fire throughout their fleet.
Creatures of the Covenant, the path is broad and we shall walk it side by side.
I feel it's a bit insulting to your intelligence, perhaps, to just keep mentioning, like, oh, there's a carbine crate here. Yeah, there's carbine crates all throughout this level, so... Okay. Here's a cool
Slip
bit.
space rupture. It's in Amber Flag. Hailing. No response. She's crashed into another tower ahead of our position. I'll keep trying to make contact, but I'm not registering any human vital signs.
Well, there's a bit of dramatic irony there. We know what's up, but Chief and Cortana don't. Alright, so careful crossing this bridge, because there's a jackal sniper that comes right there. And then, this part's a little hard, because there's not really good cover. A bunch of elites and grunts. These are Spec Ops elites, by the way. You can tell, because they take the beam rifle. Yeah, some... excuse me, some grunts and elites come first, and then they're pursued by some brutes. Sadly, berserking brutes are kind of kryptonite for your Marine allies. They just tear through your Marines extremely quickly. So sadly, I lose the last of my Marines here. The longer you can keep the Marines... By the way, any surviving elites like to hide behind here and jump you when you try and go for the exit, so it's important to jump them first. Yeah, it's a little hard to keep your Marines alive in this level, sadly. Some people can get them all the way to the mausoleum. The furthest I've managed... Well, I'll mention it when I get to that room. Anyway, this room's pretty easy. It's, a bunch of it's Spec Ops elites fighting 2 brute honor guards. The brute honor guards are immune to headshots, so and they're very tanky, so you kind of want to let the elites kill as many of them as you can. And try and get an easy stick if you can, because luckily the stick does kill them in one hit. Very cool level, very cool looking level, at least. Here's an extremely cheap part. So 2 elite rangers come flying overhead. You can kill them in 2 shots if you can headshot them. And there's a bunch of Spec Ops elites over there, but eventually some brutes are going to come across that gravity bridge and they're going to start fighting each other, so not really much to worry about. And then you can just mop up the survivors. Although, there is a Spec Ops elite with an energy sword who comes over here. Yeah. Best case scenario, they all end up killing each other, so there's only 1 brute left. Yeah, those Ranger elites are really cheap, even though there's like a big schism battle going on. They always like zero in on you and kill you. It's very annoying. It's very cheap. That was me kind of forgetting where, well, That was me kind of forgetting where the beam rifle crate was, which is kind of embarrassing. Oh well. Yeah, just don't be stupid in this part, and you too can have a fresh beam rifle. Sometimes there will be some brutes on this other side, like sometimes that they won't have gotten on the grav lift correctly.
At this moment, the councillors gather on Halo to see the icon safely placed.
Rise, Pack Brothers! Cast down the elites!
There are those who said this day would never come. What are they to say now?
Once the towers are cleared, we'll drive them from the lower districts.
Now this room's a good example of what I'm talking about, where you can kind of manage the outcome of fights. Those two drones, you want to actually not kill them because they even the odds. Normally in this room the elites pretty much always win, but if you get those two drones in, it helps even the odds a little bit, and you kind of want, maybe not the brutes to win, but you want them to do as well as possible, because there's 4 ranger elites to deal with, and we know how annoying ranger elites can be to deal with when they're at full health. But if you can even the odds a little bit, you usually end up with an empty room where you just have to mop up a jackal or 2. Yeah. No big deal. I'll say be careful not to get turned around there, because this part looks identical to the part that you just left, but the door with all the dead jackals and brutes in front of it is the right way to go. Gonna be a little quiet here for the music.
I have listened to the oracle, and it confirmed our deepest hope. The great journey begins with Halo.
The elites are falling back to the mausoleum. Fools! Their arbiter can do nothing for them now.
Who would doubt the prophets? What have we foretold that has not come to pass?
Now this room's very easy. There's basically, it's a bunch of panicking grunts and 2 berserking brutes. To be honest, if you don't have any marine allies alive, you can literally just walk past this room. Kind of ignore it. But I figured this would be a good time to showcase the berserking brute strategy. Yeah, that's a very easy way to take care of berserking brutes. You stick them with a plasma grenade and then jump right over their head. Super consistent, basically works every time. I know a lot of new Halo 2 players struggle with dealing with berserking brutes because they're very fast and they kill you in 2 hits, but yeah, just stick them and then jump over them. Very easy to deal with when you know the sauce, when you know the trick. If you do have marine allies, you kind of have to fight that room out because your marines are dumb and slow, and they, usually the brutes home in on them and then beat them to death. So. But if you're just cheap by yourself, you can kind of run past. Speaking of brutes, 3 brutes come out that door. Easy to get some early snipes off with the beam rifle, and you can mop up with the carbine. Pretty easy room here. Although I only count 2 that I killed. And then I realized that it's another iconic and classic Halo 2 AI moment. The Brute AI is especially stupid, and you might say, oh, well, that's intentional. But, anyway, there's a Jackal Sniper right in the middle there. And there'll be some brutes and elites fighting over there, so you'll have to mop up the stragglers. But now we get to the dangerous bit. Okay, so some elite reinforcements are going to come down. They're not a big deal. A bunch of elites and brutes will be fighting down in the mosh pit down there. The main threat is, believe it or not, that single Spec Ops grunt with the fuel rod who spawned. For some reason, he zeroes in specifically on you, so you gotta snipe him as quickly as possible, or you'll get blown up. It's very annoying. But once he's dealt with, this room becomes incredibly easy because it's just mopping up the survivors. Usually the brutes win here, I'll say. That is one thing I think the Halo 2 multi-faction battles get right, is it's very variable, like who wins and loses a lot of the time. Like, it's never like, oh, the brutes always win, or it's like, you know, it's never like the Flood always wins back in Halo 1. I always thought that was pretty cool. Anyway. If there are any berserking brutes, sometimes they come up that way. So I was just checking, because they could sneak up on you and kill you if you're not careful. Yeah, so now he's berserking and now he's coming this way, but if you just jump on this middle platform, he literally cannot touch you at all, so just gotta get a lucky headshot or a lucky stick. As you can see, I'm having an extreme amount of trouble, but eventually I get him. And now we get a brief moment of peace, although after this Halo 2 AI moment. Halo 2 physics moment. Right there. Oh man. Alright, so after you get that checkpoint, you want to be a little careful because two Spec Ops elites, or two stealth elites with energy swords will come down there. They can sneak up on you if you're not careful. And then there's going to be 3 Spec Ops grunts. Yeah, they're no big deal. They don't have fuel rods or anything. Speaking of fuel rods, oh, by the way, this one survived. This isn't really a Halo 2 AI moment because grunts hide in the corner in every Halo game. But you know, I digress. Anyway. I might actually surprise you. Well, this won't surprise you. Grab the fuel rod gun, obviously. But I'm actually going to use the energy sword here. And I would recommend that you do this too as well. It makes these next 2 rooms very... Actually, these next 3 rooms very easy, actually. Or easier, at least. And you get another carbine up ahead. Yeah, there's going to be a stealth elite right here on film. Now, something I haven't talked about is scariness value. In Halo 2, different weapons have what's known as a scariness value, where they will make other enemies panic or react differently if you have one. So, having the sword there, in conjunction with killing the stealth elite, it makes those grunts panic instead of fighting you. And I mean, you've seen on Legendary, on Halo 2 Legendary, even a pack of grunts can be dangerous, so you use psychological warfare. And then killing all those grunts silently, it makes it so you can sneak up on that other stealth elite. So it makes those 2 rooms very, very easy, when they can be kind of annoying.
I've earned my journey.
But obviously trying to melee in Halo 2 has its limitations, so... Just clear out as much of this room as you can. Now that I know where that second elite is, I'm able to weave him. Now, in that initial group, there's 2 elites, but then there's going to be 2 additional elites, one from the door on the left and one from the door on the right. These are Spec Ops elites. They love to chuck their plasma grenades. I'm sure you know that. Now, the way you would do this is basically just use the sword until you get pushed back in here and then switch back to the carbine is how I do it. But yeah, you know, I'm someone who thinks the energy sword's kind of worthless outside of flood levels, but no, it really makes those initial 2 rooms a lot easier, a lot more consistent, and then you can kind of push in to this 3rd room a little bit with the energy sword. But obviously, can't really melee in Halo 2 too much, because you just get killed by the elite's insta-kill melee attack. Speaking of not playtesting, this room has a bizarre glitch. If you are going to grab the carbine, you'll want to do it immediately, because once the door... You saw how the door was red and it turned purple? Once that happens... Oh yeah, this was me, I got interrupted in real life, but once the door changes color, basically what happens is all the weapon crates in the previous room despawn, so you can end up doing this fight without a carbine if you're not careful. So you would want to grab a carbine immediately, just so it's on the ground and it doesn't despawn. This last elite ends up being extremely annoying. Although it doesn't help that I miss an easy stick there. Although somehow it's like the fuel rod goes right through him and it didn't hit him somehow. I'm not sure how that missed, but whatever. I haven't had a one-on-one fight versus an elite like this since, like, I think Truth and Reconciliation in Halo 1. Have this cat and mouse game with the Spec Ops elite. It's pretty neat, actually. Who will prevail? I mean, you could probably guess by my editing habits that if yep, I get the clutch stick again. You could probably guess that if I'm showing it to you, I'd probably win, yeah. When you're going through this room, you want to avoid that door. You probably saw I was doing that because when you get too close to the door, 2 jackals and a beam. Although, super easy to mop them up with the fuel rod. You probably noticed there was a fuel rod on the ground back there, so you have a ton of fuel rod ammo. You get
We're going to catch
about 25 shots.
Take a shortcut straight through the mausoleum. Look on the bright side. For now, they seem much more interested in killing
Couldn't
each
resist. Believe it or not, that's actually the last jackal sniper of the mission. So once you take out that initial group of brutes, a bunch of drones are going to come down, so you want to back into the room. Luckily, they're more focused. Yeah, like Cortana was saying, they're more focused on each other. The elites will pretty much always win, but the drones will do a number on them, so the drones really push them back. And you can mop up whatever's left. You know how it be. Keep in mind that crate of beam rifles, I don't do this, but you might want to take it into the final room. Alright, be very careful here, because once you hit that checkpoint, a second wave of drones is going to spawn in above you, and they'll swoop down and kill you if you're out in the open, so you want to get back to the entrance as soon as possible. And then from the other door, a group of Spec Ops Covenant is going to appear. Yeah. Kind of an extremely weird thing, but in the AI's hands, as you can see, the fuel rod has like slight homing. I almost make the same mistake again. You want to kind of retreat back here, like let the door block the shots. It's one grunt with the fuel rod, but he goes crazy with it, so you really want to take him out as quickly as possible. But unfortunately for them, now you have a beam rifle, and it's very easy to take out the rest of the elite encampment here. Yeah. But yeah, very super weird thing about fuel rod gun is that when the AI is using it, it has homing, and that's not just Covenant either. If you give it to a Marine, it'll have slight homing capabilities. But alright, be a little careful here because well, not of that guy, but I knew there was another elite alive, but luckily he was stupid. But anyway, once you get that checkpoint, a group of 2 hunters and some Spec Ops grunts will come charging out that door, but we already know, I already told you, fuel rod gun rips through hunters. Okay, now here I make a huge mistake. If you were playing this level, you would want to take in... Well, keep in mind that you have all these weapons out here. Take in at least... You want to take in the fuel rod gun. I did that part right, at least. And then kind of weapon juggle, like whatever plasma pistols or carbines or beam rifles that you want. You want to juggle them into the next room. I take the energy sword. I was feeling kind of high on the energy sword. I was thinking, like, maybe it would be good in this part.
You might consider sitting this one out.
I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea to experiment in this video recording. You might recognize this room, by the way. This is the, it's the mausoleum we were in. The level, the Arbiter. I do want to make one thing clear. I didn't edit this song in or anything. But alright. This is another really difficult part of the mission. So, you know, the elites and the brutes will be fighting it out, but the elites will pretty much always win because over here there's 3 elite ultras. One of them has a fuel rod. This is actually the easy part, and then eventually some hunters will come in to reinforce the elites, and then a second wave of, I think, 3 brutes come in. I make another mistake here. You'll want to let them fight each other more, rather than, like, immediately jumping in with the fuel rod. You want to preserve as much fuel rod ammo as possible.
Hang on. I'm picking up 2 more transponders. It's the Commander and Johnson. They're closing on Truth's position, Chief. They'll need your help.
But now we come to the most difficult, well, one of the most difficult. This is the third and final most difficult part that I mentioned. So out of this door come 2 stealth elites, 2 elite ultras, and then an elite zealot. So 5 elites total come out of that final door. This part wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for, well, you know, there's just a lot of factors coming in together. They'll be armed with a mixture of plasma rifles and carbines, although the Zealot, of course, will have an energy sword, but he's not really a threat. And Halo 2 melee moment. Yeah, so this is a good showcase of just how hard this game can be if you go in without knowing what you're doing, I guess. I thought I could, like, ISO them in close quarters and kill them with the energy sword, but that was a mistake. Do not do that if you are wanting to make this at all consistent. You would want to come in here with a beam rifle or like a plasma rifle, and more ammo in your fuel rod. But you do kind of want to lure them into this hallway over here. Because if you try and fight them in the open room, like, you know, you're up against 2 ultras, that's just suicide. And I think one of the stealth elites got stuck or something, because I only counted myself killing one of them, but maybe I killed him with splash damage or something, but oh well. Don't worry, I will say in the bonus footage, I showcase a much more consistent strategy to deal with these guys. Like, don't forget the ultras can berserk and pull out energy swords. That's another thing to watch out for. But also remember that the drones drop plasma pistols, and you know, as soon as I remembered that, I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to use the stupid energy sword. Yeah. I have a showcase of how to do this room, assuming you're not a stupid ape. No offense to any brutes in the audience. Yeah. By the way, you might be noticing, like, why do you keep calling that guy with the energy sword a zealot? He's like weird looking. That is a glitched enemy. Yeah, as you can tell, I was beyond frustrated at this part, but oh well. Well, I'll explain more about that later. There's a big cutscene coming up, because we're finally at the end. The rest of this video is, well, after the ending cutscene is bonus footage.
I am getting confirmed reports of flood leaving in Amberclad's wreckage. Let's get the index and find a way out of here before things get really ugly.
Split them. One in each phantom.
The hopes of all the Covenant rest on your shoulders, Chieftain.
My faith is strong. I will not fail.
Let him be. The great journey waits for no one, brother. Not even you.
But alright, that was Gravemind, one of the most difficult levels in the series. Nothing left in the rest of the game really is on the level of Regret and Gravemind, so you're on the victory lap if you made it this far. For those of you who don't like bonus footage, I hope you'll join me for episode 11, Uprising. That's right, this game has more than 10 missions. But I'll see you then. For those of you who enjoy bonus footage, well, first of all, I do have a version of the final fight that's like, what if an intelligent human with 3-digit IQ did this fight and didn't bring in an energy sword for no reason? Yeah, so similar strategy. You kind of want to lure them in. Getting that early kill on the stealth elite is very helpful. Yeah, and as you can see, I saved a lot more fuel rod ammo. Because I let the brutes and the hunters melee it out a little bit more. So this time I killed both stealth elites and the zealot. Now this gives me a chance to talk about that weird elite that you saw me kill. I keep calling him a zealot, but it's like, isn't that an elite counselor? Like with that weird headdress? Okay, so that elite is glitched. He will spawn in with a random set of elite permutations. So like sometimes he'll look like, he'll usually have the honor guard regalia. But it's like sometimes he'll look just like an ultra, sometimes he'll look like a counselor. But in the code, he's supposed to be a zealot. He's actually the only zealot that spawns on non-legendary difficulties, so that's kind of an interesting fact. Although he's all weird and fucked up. Anyway, here's the terminal. This terminal is probably one of the trickier ones to find. It's in this first big outdoor area with all the jackal snipers. Halo 2 AI moment. Although this is on a heroic difficulty. What I mean is, like, enemies are just less aware in general, lower difficulties. But yeah, this one is probably one of the trickier to find ones. Not really like tricky, like, it's not like skull level. It's not like on the level of a skull, it's just you might not find it, because it's a little bit off the beaten path. You gotta come over here to this little alcove that you have no reason to go to normally.
Whereas most species were grafted into the Covenant by faith or mutual beneficence, the Ungoi were not such. Their kind was brought into the fold by force, and it was by force that they were held captive. Their world had no prayer against our might and majesty, and their peoples were quickly laid low, many of them brought into subjugation. Yet while some species would perish under such pressure, others rise to the occasion, taking arms if need be, fighting back. Such it was for the Ungoi when their feud with the Kig-Yar led to rebellion. An effort by the Kig-Yar to sterilize the Ungoi population was met with stiff resistance, and for a time, the Holy City was thrown into chaos. Once fully provoked, the Ungoi were merciless in their violence, lashing out at all species. Their large numbers and their tenacious volatility made them a suitable challenge, even for the elites. And yet again, we turned to an arbiter. And with a ferocity unparalleled since the beginning of the Covenant, the Ungoi world would be reduced to glass. Those within the Holy City would be forced to watch, unable to stop what could have been the very end of their kind. The Ungoi rebellion was brought to an end by the Arbiter's hand. Their world was not completely lost, and those who survived within high charity found some measure of mercy. They had proven their worth in combat, and would now serve alongside the Sangheili in battle.
Yeah, it's a little bit understated, but the Ungoi really go through it. But it's the end of the bonus footage, so I hope you'll join me for episode 11, Uprising. Much shorter than this one, don't worry. Although still quite difficult. So to be clear, that final firefight, what I did was I did it, and I made sure that on Legendary I could do it 3 times in a row. So if you want to know how to do that part, and play not like an idiot, just watch the version of the events in the bonus footage. Okay, take care.